Hi, today we're going to talk about when you have daily and debilitating symptoms of anxiety, depression, and or post-traumatic stress. It's very common that people have multiple types of symptoms, that we're going to notice symptoms of anxiety, depression, and traumatic stress, but sometimes post-traumatic stress, but sometimes we just have a couple of different ones showing up. But regardless, when they're daily and debilitating, this conversation is for you if you're in that space. And so I want you to know what you're looking at, how you're going to make this shift, how I help people shift this, and what your healing process looks like down the road. Okay, so but we definitely want to get you out of this spot as quickly as possible, and so because this is a hard place, and so we're going to talk about that. I'm Rachel McLeod. I'm a mental health therapist and an emotional wellness coach. I specialize in helping people do the brain work for resolving symptoms of anxiety, depression, and traumatic stress. I also specialize in complex PTSD recovery. And the brain has a really beautiful process for resolving these symptoms for you. And that's its job. That's what it needs to be doing. But that process gets stopped and blocked. And so the brain can't resolve symptoms for you. And so you're going to notice a backlog of symptoms. And then when you're at the point where they're daily and they're debilitating, this is your brain really is struggling and it's not processing well. This process is blocked. We want to get that process up and running. And because it's got a lot of backlog work to do, this doesn't have to take a long time, but it does require quite a bit of elbow grease. We're going to put a lot of effort into this, and change the direction and the course of what your brain is doing, what it's capable of doing, and why it's making all these symptoms. We're changing that. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And so by the time you're here, there's a lot of momentum going into symptoms, symptom management, symptom coping. There's a lot of your inner world focused on that. And that's a hard thing. As some people have told me that they will spend 8 to 10 hours here a day managing their symptoms. Like people with OCD, they got to do all the rituals and they've counted it up and it's like 8 hours, right? Not all of my clients are here, right? I work with people in various stages of recovery, including the last stage where we're just doing refinement and personal growth and development. And I'm trying to get everybody there, and I like to follow the entire journey. It's fun, but many people come with this daily and debilitating stage, and so there's a lot of momentum here going towards symptom making, symptom generation, symptom management. We want to grab a hold of some of that stuff and we want to start shifting it towards processing. We want to guide the brain out of symptom generation. And actually, the reason you're experiencing so many symptoms in these places is because your brain is actually trying to heal and it's trying to get the processing it needs, the material it needs to process through the healing process at like a lot, but that process is blocked. And so it's just creating more symptoms, right? And then it's going to try to heal some more, and that symptom's blocked, so it's going to create more symptoms, and the process is blocked, and it's going to create more symptoms on repeat all day long. And some of the rituals that we're doing, some of the coping strategies can help us stop this healing malfunctioning pattern. Like scrolling can be one of these things. Look at me scrolling. We'll look back at this in 20 years and be like, what the heck is she doing? Anyway, so, but these are eating, bathing, washing hands, calling friends, staying on the phone with people. All of these are strategies to keep the brain out of that malfunctioning healing process. So it feels better, but it's not actually doing any healing work. And so people are logging many hours in here, and they're logging hours in symptom management, and we're not actually opening that healing door. And so we want to shift and go there. Okay. So there's a lot of momentum over there. We're in the beginning of this. We're going to grab as much energy as we can and walk the brain through its natural healing process. The brain is naturally doing this. It's already doing. We don't even need to be specific and targeted here. We don't have to be skillful. We just need to jump in and support the survival system, actually, that part of the brain, so that it will, instead of blocking healing, that it will open the gates to healing and let healing happen. I have lots of reasons why lots of videos talking about why your survival system does this. So I'm not going to go into that today, but it does this, and it does this a lot. And if you've got daily and debilitating symptoms, it's really good at it, and it's been in the habit of it for a long time. And so we need to support it, to bring it to remind it, hey, you can let the whole brain work on this. We don't have to go into survival mode. As a matter of fact, it's depleting our system and draining out our life force energy, and sometimes even our will to live. This is not a great stress place, brain function to be in. It's expensive emotionally, chemically. So we're going to support that part of the brain. That part of the brain is very different than the parts of the brain we're supporting in traditional therapies. Those parts of the brain are more the prefrontal cortex, the understander, the insight, the thinking center, the executive functioning. That part cannot influence the survival system as much as need to be influenced. You can do a little bit, but it takes so long. I don't want that. You got to get out of this spot as fast as possible. So we're going to work and target that survival system. We're going to send it tons of support, and we're going to say, hey, chill, let the healing happen, open that gate. And so you'll watch the energy momentum flow from survival mode. And when we start using these specific interventions, providing that survival system support, we're going to hold it in processing state as long as we're using the interventions. And as soon as we stop, what's going to happen is going to go right back. Okay. Now, this is really discouraging to people, but this is actually wonderful. Your brain stayed over here. Oop, I got noises in the background. Your brain stayed over here in processing for as long as we could hold it over there. That's more than it's been able to stay in maybe decades, maybe months, maybe weeks. And we're working with an electrical process. So even if we can just hold it here for 30 seconds, 30 seconds is a lot of electricity. It's a lot of data running through the system. It's going to create and initiate rewiring and healing. Now, you can see that we're going to want to hold this over here for longer than 30 seconds. This is the healing process. We're holding the brain in its healing process. We're supporting it to hang out in healing in the way that it's designed. And so the interventions that work with that part of the brain are very different than what we do in talk therapy. We're actually sending safety signaling through the body up to the survival system so that it can not only get the unprocessed material of fear, worry, distress, flashbacks, past memories, all that data through, that your mind body system is trying to get through, but it also is getting safety signaling at the same time. That combination is what creates healing. So in the beginning, when you've got daily and debilitating symptoms, your brain is in survival mode. You don't have access to a lot of your executive functioning. So I'm not giving you a lot of strategies. I'm not giving you a lot of thinking activities. I'm going to give you some tools, and I'm going to say, use these, and I'm going to match them up. If we're working together, I'm going to make sure that they work for your brain. I offer these in my free program, Interventions for Inner World Transformation. In that program, I'm teaching you how to evaluate if that intervention is working for you or not. You don't have time to be messing with interventions that don't work for you. Am I right? I know I'm right. Okay, you don't have time for that, and you don't have any energy for it. All your energy is being sucked into survival mode. We need to use your energy as efficiently as possible. So we're going to find interventions that are going to be the most effective to shift you out of survival mode into processing mode. And then we're going to use them a lot. And here, I'm not teaching you anything. This program that I made, I've tried to make it as boring as possible so that you're not in there like this learning. I don't want you learning. I don't want you using this part of the brain. I've made my videos boring. I try to give you the information I know that you need and nothing more, so that you aren't watching my video all the time unless you're using it to use the interventions with me. I want you to learn the interventions as quickly as you can and apply them, and as brainlessly. You don't have a lot of brain power because your brain's busy generating symptoms. So I just want you to do the thing. That's going to take a lot of energy right there if you've got depression, right? Even to do that. If you're in a flashback, it's going to take a lot of effort to use an intervention when you're in a survival state. If you're in a panic attack, to use an intervention is a massive win because of what your brain is doing. Okay, so having said that, I'm encouraging people to, when they're in this stage, to use interventions, their intervention of choice, of preference, that their brain prefers, their survival system, breathing, and to use it for up to 2 hours a day. That's a lot. We got work to do. Now, few people listen to me. The ones that do, we crank. The ones that don't, we still heal. You don't have to listen to me. Any bit of this you do, you're on a healing path. And what happens, sometimes I'll get people and all they can do is 10 minutes a day. Okay, let's see how many days in a row we can get 10 minutes. And pretty soon they will be out of this. I have other people that will do an hour a day of this work. Mind you, I want you to do this while your brain is over here in survival mode. I want you to pull it over into processing mode, right? Your brain, many people's brain, when they have daily and debilitating symptoms, are spending hours here. I'm just asking you to, while you're doing survival mode, or while your brain is debilitating you, support it with an intervention. We don't want it to actually stop the debilitating things yet. We want to support it because we want the brain to review this debilitating thing and say, hey, why are we doing this? This seems a little excessive. Yes, now we're cooking. We should get in here and fix this. Exactly. That's natural. That naturally happens with processing. And I want your brain to do it a lot. I want it to evaluate why it's doing what it's doing, and go. And there's enough wisdom and there's enough know-how and skill in the top of the brain that right now, when your energy is going towards symptom generation and symptom management and coping, you don't have time to be smart. I want you just to do the thing. Make the donuts. Get up, make the donuts, right? Do the healing dance. Do the healing dance. You're going to wake up and use your intervention. You're going to use your intervention, right? That's it. That's all the responsibility you have in the first step, in the first phase of this, if you're in a place where you have debilitating and daily symptoms. Now, this is why. One, we are rerouting momentum. We're rerouting energy that would have been going into making symptoms. We're actually going to processing. An ounce of processing is worth so much. Is worth a pound of all this other stuff. So don't overlook the little bits. Don't trash yourself for just being able to do 30 seconds at a time. It all matters. Okay. Now, we want to shift the momentum. What's going to happen also is that we're going to get processing going. This is not skillful processing. It's general processing. Your brain, because of the symptoms, is already proving that it's trying to heal. It's just stuck. So all we're going to do is open the gate. Later, we're going to get more skills and we're going to say, hey, this problem over here, let's run that through the gate. We're going to say, hey, that problem over there, we get to choose the symptoms we want to resolve. But we're not doing that right now because we have a fully loaded problem tree and we just need to shake it and see how many apples we can get to fall. How many symptoms can we get to fall, and how much health and wellness can our brain create just with some processing? And there's a lot. And it's going to make things a lot more simple because what's going to remain on the tree now is the stuff that's a little bit more complex, and it's time to go get specific. It's time to go after specific apples. Okay, you follow my analogy? That comes later. That comes when your day is not full of daily and debilitating symptoms. And I can usually get somebody through this, if they'll do their homework, up to 2 hours a day in about 2 weeks. A week usually, and then some people take 2 weeks. People that just really can't, we're gonna stay a lot longer in this phase. It's just the nature of it. The brain has to work, and if we can't give it enough support, it's just gonna do the best that it can, which is what it's doing now. But if we can give a little bit, we're starting to move, right? And so we'll get out of that phase soon, and then you'll want to go into specific and targeted healing work. Okay, so, but we're not talking about that right now. I'm going to make a video about that. I have videos about that. But we're just staying in general, we're being easy. We're using the least amount of executive functioning and working memory as possible. because your system is already trying to heal. Okay. Now, a lot of you, and I myself included, when I was there, felt like my brain is just kicking my behind. That's not actually what's happening. It's trying to heal. It's having challenges. We're going to help. Um, and we're gonna get that processing over as much as we can. And we're not being smart. We're being diligent. We're being determined. We're determined to move that processor. Get that gate, that processing door open, so that all this stuff the mind body system's already trying to do can flow. Okay. The other thing we're going to do here in this state is we're going to experiment. I wonder what symptoms that that I could resolve if I use my intervention right here, right? And this is a light thing. I wonder if it'll work with this. I wonder if it'll work with this. This is not a massive strategy thing because that would require executive functioning, and that's not really available right now. But it's kind of like a way of, oh, I wonder if I could resolve this. What happens if I use my intervention with this one? What happens if I use my intervention in the morning? What happens if I use my intervention at night? We're gathering data. We want to know, because that is going to inform the next phase of this work. We're getting to know what our brain can do if we give it support. We're getting to know how good can it do with a little bit of support. This is important information. We're actually skill building here, even though I'm not going to tell you that. You're not trying to. It's just natural. We're actually building confidence. When you see your brain resolving things and you see things getting more ordered and things aren't just scatters and spirals of mental illness, and you see things lightening and you see symptoms resolving, all of a sudden you're like, ooh, right? That is a great space. We're going to do it more to reinforce it. And really pretty soon you'll be ready for the next phase where you're like, what do we do? What are we working on? Come at me. Let's go, brain. What symptom are we working on? And I want you in that position. But in the beginning, we're just getting to know what happens if I support my brain to process. What happens if I do it after a conversation with my mom? What happens do I do it if after I take my run? If you're at a running place, that'd be, that's some good stuff. What happens? You see, I'm just making stuff up. What happens what happens if I use my intervention after hour 3 of laying in my bed depressed, right? What happens if I do it in hour 1? What happens if I do it in 1 and 3 and 5, right? Let's go, whatever, just see what happens. The interventions that I share have no known side effects. And so I can give these to people very early, and we're starting to understand and gather data and see what their brain can do and see what it looks like. And from that, I can really map out for them what the next parts of their healing journey are going to be like, and to set them up for success. So you just want to use the interventions. And you're experimenting. Okay, my next thing is reinforcing again during this phase of debilitating daily symptoms. Use the interventions a lot. I have a phrase that I use all the time. I kind of want to make some t-shirts out of it, but I'm like, I don't know that anybody will get this or appreciate this, except for my clients. They'd be like, ow! Anyway, but this is really where you want to be mentally ill well. You don't want to just be mentally ill for being mentally ill. Like, be mentally ill well. And that means that you're not gonna change what your brain is doing. You're going to support your processor to process what your brain is doing. So you're going to go lay in your bed depressed while using an intervention so that your brain can process the data of laying in your bed depressed. There's a lot that's going to come from that. Your brain is going to be like, I wonder why. Oh, and it's going to go back and be like, oh, because of this and this and this. And then you're going to come and you're going to work on the next phases, and you're going to know exactly what you're working on because your brain is already processing. It's not just gloopifying material that's unprocessed in your body. I don't know how I feel. I don't know why this is a thing, but I'm panicking over it. So it's like, no, that's something. That panic attack is something. Once we get it processed, your brain will start telling you what it is. The brain starts with epiphanies and insights. You're going to watch lots of phenomenal brain activity go, including flashbacks, which are actually good. They don't feel good. I understand that entirely. I'm not confused. And so, food delivery. Anyway, I'm not confused about that. So we just want to use the interventions a lot. And I don't want you to fix your mental illness. I want you to use your interventions a lot. Do you see how we're taking pressure off of you? Do you see how we're reducing the number of factors? We're going after, we're going to put as much time and energy in the one most powerful place we can absolutely put it. And that's what we're going to do, that over and over and over again. It's not fancy. This is not the fanciest part of my work. This is why I have my free program. Anybody can do this. You do not need to spend money to do this part, this phase. It takes the least amount of skill, but you're going to need to do it. And don't be discouraged when you go back to symptoms. If your brain is not getting support in this place, it's going to do more symptom generation, because it's like, oh, we just got some stuff processed, and now let's see what else we can heal. And the healing process is not strong enough to keep functioning, so it's going to malfunction again. And your brain's going to be trying to heal, and it's going to go into survival mode. So the healing process actually, the impaired healing process is actually what shifts us into survival mode, into all these symptom generation patterns. So we really want to make sure that we're processing and supporting. Okay, that is really okay. Also, I want to tell you that I was recently talking to somebody who has severe OCD. They're spending 8 to 10 hours a day with compulsions and rituals, and they hired somebody to do some work with them, and they're working at the subconscious level, which is fabulous. However, they're not getting any progress, and that is because, one, there looked like there was a misdiagnosis, that there's some other disorders in there as well. I don't diagnose, but I'm just in my coaching or consultation calls. But things were more complex. And okay, lost my train of thought, as you can see. Okay, OCD symptoms. But the other thing is that there is a really big need for this client to reestablish a healing pattern, a regulating pattern in her nervous system. When we're here, we have to repattern wellness. The brain needs to get distressed and then say, oh, let's go back down and regulate. Sometimes, depending on how early the trauma was in childhood or the parent strategies, and sorry parents, we didn't know, but sometimes children get dysregulated, and then parents get involved and they get more dysregulated. So we're actually repatterning the nervous system regulation process to go up, and then go up further and further and further. And so then we're going into panic attacks, spiraling. Healthy interactions with the brain, we're getting distressed, children are getting distressed, parents are coming in and soothing and supporting, and we're getting back regulated. Right? That ship sailed when we're adults, and we need to go back here and we need to do this. And so this woman thought that she was just going to go to these sessions and heal, when in actuality, who was going to repattern her nervous system? And that's one of the reasons we're using interventions a lot. And so that the subconscious work there, I'm not going to stop anybody from doing subconscious work. It's fun. And we have time to burn here in the healing journey. And if you're using interventions and you're working with somebody who's going to do some subconscious work with you, fabulous. We're adding on. But the foundational piece of this is rewiring the nervous system and reconditioning for health and wellness, and to create a comfort zone where you are, in your life where you are right now. And so we want to really put in interventions. So many, all these at this stage of the game, any work that you're doing with a healer, with a therapist is bonus stuff on top, but it has to sit on top of nervous system regulation and repatterning. And we need to do it enough that we can get that repattern going, that we're teaching, that we're like, hey, I see you're going up, nervous system, let's come back down. I'm going up, let's come back down. That's so, so, so important. And so I want you to have healthy expectations here, and don't stop going and getting help. But have expectations that you're going to need to do this repatterning work. And it's hard and exhausting when you're an adult, because it really should have been done in early childhood. You wouldn't have been the wiser. It's done for you. Done. But we're not there anymore. So we need to do it now. We need to repattern now. And that's really the first part of this. And so this takes people out of daily and debilitating symptoms very, very quickly. So, and the more time you invest in it, the more retraining your mind, body, nervous system gets. So, having said that, I do invite you to try my interventions. These are my favorite for this work because we need to do something a lot, and these are the easiest ones that I have found. Try mine out, see what you think. Also, you're going to use these a lot, and then you're going to get to a place where you're ready for some specific and targeted brain work. That is what my program Inner World Transformation is about. I help you build increasingly advanced skills to help your inner world, your nervous system, your mind body system resolve symptoms, heal, overcome, reach your goals and dreams, and build health and wellness so that your mind body system can sustain higher mood states, higher wellness, growth, and expansion. So you can find all of that. I'll put that in the descriptions part of this. I think you might be able to hear my son singing in the background. That's what distracted me earlier. He has a beautiful voice. I'm trying to tell him to turn himself into the theater and let them have you. He only sings in his bathroom, so I think he's going to be mortified if you hear him. Anyway, so I told people I was going live. But that program is really about these next phases. So I hope this helps you, inspires you, and really gets you in here to regulate. You're like, what else do I do? No, regulate. What else do I do? Regulate more, regulate more. Am I going to have to do this for the rest of my life? No, you're not. Okay. But right now you do, because your momentum is going that way, and we need it going the other direction. We need your momentum going to building health and wellness and to building processing. Okay.